Welcome back, guys. I got another video on my Suzuki GZ250. I was out riding out on the farm roads and I came across this low area of the road where about a foot of water was streaming across. And I slowed down to a very slow speed and then I went through it. A day or two after that, I was coming home and I was in my neighborhood and I noticed that I was hearing a god-awful squeal moan kind of sound, and at first it sounded like a bearing, and that kind of concerned me. But then I noticed that when I would squeeze my brake just a hair, the sound would stop. So I knew right then it was a brake pad. And so what I think happened was when I splashed through that water, areas of the pad surface that slides in the caliper got a little rusty. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to remove them, I'm going to grease them up, and then I'm going to get them in and then eventually go for a test drive. And I'll give you an update at the end after I test drive to see if that solved the problem. But here we go. Okay, so I'm going to start by loosening up these here, and then I'll grab a 10mm to take this wire or this line holder off. It tends to make it a little easier to get this out. But today I was out practicing my motorcycle skills because I've been riding on a permit, and yesterday I went to go take my skills test and I bombed it horribly. The cones and the sharp U-turn got me, but I was out practicing and it started squealing pretty bad, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go home and stick some brakies on here so that that sound will stop, so I can concentrate more on my skills. But I found the trick to the sharp U-turn, and here it is. Okay, if you're going to be taking your skills test and you have to do a sharp U-turn, here's what I discovered. It might sound pretty simple to those of you that ride a lot, but I'm fairly new, about 5,000 miles on this bike that I've rode, so I'm still a newbie. But as I start my turn, I'm going pretty slow, and then I turn and I go really sharp. And right as I feel like I'm getting out of balance, I give it a little bit of throttle and it straightens me up, and it's perfect sharp U-turn. So so if you're having an issue tackling that sharp U-turn, try that. It's working for me. Okay, I'm gonna go get a 10, finish this up. It is embarrassing sharing my failure with the world out there, but you know what, if my failure can help somebody succeed, then I'm all for it. Okay, here's my pads, and yeah, they do look pretty dry in there. Okay, then we'll go ahead and get some of my brakies. Okay, I'm gonna have to get a pin here because in here I'm not going to be able to get any brakies into that back pad, so I'm gonna have to pull the pads out. I know that I've done a brake pad change video on this, but I wanted to bring this to you as well, just to kind of show you what you're going to have to do if your brake pads start squealing like that. It's a god-awful sound. It sounds like your bike's about to fall apart. Okay. Right. So that pad comes out like that. That pad comes out like that. Yeah, they are very dry. I can see rub marks right there. Brakes still look like they're in decent condition. Okay, what I'm going to do is degrease the areas real quick both here and there, and then I will be able to grease them up. And got my awesome degreaser. This is really awesome. It's not just a name. Is that right, son?
Yep.
Get this all cleaned up. Looks good. We'll put some on the back plate here as well, so that if it vibrates in there, it's not going to squeal. This is actually the same cause for a car to just squeal too. If you have a car that starts squealing when you lightly apply the brakes or all the time, it's because the brake pads are vibrating real quickly in there, and that's what's causing the squeal. Okay. This is what I use here. This is by Permatex. It's called Ultra Disc Brake Caliper Lube, and it is a synthetic lubrication. So this is what I use on all of my brake jobs, cars as well. Okay, as you can see, I wiped down everything after I spread it, wiped down the extra, and I got it back on now, so I'll just tighten it up and then go take it for a ride. Alright guys, here's the update. When I re-greased my brake pads up front after running through all that water, apparently that has solved my problem. I get a little bit of squeak, but I'm not worried about it. I'm going to be replacing the rotor and the brake pads sometime this winter anyway, so I'll bring that video to you as well. That'll be a fun one to do. What I did off camera was I was here and I replaced this seal right here on my clutch. It is what was leaking oil. I don't know if I had told you guys about it, but something was leaking oil. I was losing oil, and I thought it was the shifter here because it was really oily here. But when I followed the wet spot, I saw that all around down in here, and it looked like it was coming down and into these areas here as well, and it ran all down here, and I could see that it was building up down here. So I confirmed that this was leaking. I had the seal for the longest time, I just hadn't put it on. So I went ahead and put that one on. I'm going to buy a new one for this one, and I'm going to go ahead and replace it so that I can rule that out as well, just to rule everything out. Because as you could see, the engine's in great shape. It's very clean. I don't want to start caking it up with a bunch of burnt oil and dirt, because this bike is in really good shape. Something I did when I replaced that seal is I noticed my fuel line, which it was a clear fuel line that ran like that. I noticed that it looked like it was a little pinched. See that pinch in there? So I went ahead and I pulled it off. And when I pulled the line backwards like this, I noticed this little area here. And to take a real close look at that, I don't know if the camera's going to get it, but if you take a real close look at it, that's a split right there. And I noticed that for the longest time, every time I shut off my bike, it would smell like fuel. So I think this crack here has been here for a long time. It's really bad now because I was playing with it and spreading it open and stuff. So I think that that this was cracked for a long time. If I remember, I'm going to show you some lines over on the other side that are part of the vacuum kind of charcoal canister lines that have some cracks in them, and I might try to change those out just so that everything is good. If you have followed me on this bike here, you'll know that I got this when it had 2,000 miles on it. It was almost brand new, and I have 8,300 miles on it now. So I've been riding the hell out of this bike, and I absolutely love it. But I'm about to step up to the Kawasaki 750 really soon. You guys will see some videos on it coming up really soon. I have part 2 of the engine overhaul that I'm about to wrap up. Okay, first of all, I want to show you guys something else that I did with my motorcycle. Right there, I had to mount it below my seat because Arizona sun would bake my little control box here. It would almost melt it down, so I didn't want it exposed to the sun, so I set it under the seat. There's a little mount there that I mounted on, but for right now it's just sitting there. And I ran the wires. You can see the wires are running. One's running back along the frame to the rear camera here. That's a reflector, not a brake light or anything, so it shouldn't affect anything. And I have it running up along the frame under the seat. My power lines are running up on the opposite side here, and they're coming up and they're wiring in. Oh, I forgot to cut a tab. And they're actually wiring in up here at where the coil is. And that is my camera system. Oh, and of course I have the forward-facing camera right there. So I'm about to start a new phase of my channel. I'm gonna start recording my rides. I'm planning on going all over Arizona and even up Nevada, across California, and down the 101. So that should be a really fun trip. I'm going to try to get to it before this summer hits. Okay, so what I'm going to do to wrap up this video is I'm going to change the air filter in this bike. Here's what I got. I got a Suzuki genuine part. There's not any aftermarket parts for the air filter, and here is the part number just in case you have one and you want to replace it. That's it right there. Okay, and what this looks like, if you don't already know, there you go. I did a video not too long ago about the location of this guy, and I didn't replace it because it looked pretty clean. But what I didn't realize at that time, or I didn't think of, is air goes in here and through this into the airbox. So it wouldn't necessarily be the outside that was dirty. So when I get the old one out and this one in, I'm actually going to take the old one and cut it open and see exactly how dirty it actually was. Let's get started. Okay, remember how this one comes off? It pops off the top and comes right off the little tab on the bottom. Okay, here we go. Start with the screws real quick. And remember the orientation, it faces the back of the engine. I know I'm using a flathead, but these don't go on very tight, so they'll be just fine. Okay. All right, first of all, let's compare the colors. Holy moly, do you see that? Do you see the difference in those? I bet you can tell which one is the old one. Okay, so this one now looks very dirty. It even looks dirty visually, but it didn't the last time I had it out, so definitely has gotten dirty. And last time I had this out, there was a whole lot of oil down in the airbox, and I don't know why it was there. There's just a tiny bit right now, so not bad at all. I don't know how that actually happened, but 4,000 miles later and there's just a little droplet. So a lot of people say that it can leak oil in there because of blowback, but I don't think that's the issue. If anybody knows why there would be a little bit of oil in the airbox, please let me know. I know there's a vent tube right here that goes into the airbox, and there may be a reason why some of it would come in right here, and the drips that were there actually right under where this tube comes into the airbox, so it might be coming from the crankcase. I've heard also that oil could be found in the airbox if you rev the engine up when it's cold too much. I don't know if that's true. Please, if anybody knows, let me know. Alright, so I'm going to clean up the airbox. Anytime I work on my bikes, I take a rag and I just wipe stuff up, give it some idiots blowing their horn. So I'll just clean it up here a little bit. Alrighty. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get the new one installed. Nice bright white, and remember the orientation of this goes back and down a little bit. Screw started. Okay. And these screws just barely tighten up. They're not necessarily ones that you gotta torque down. Just snug them up and then give them a little bit more just to make sure they don't back out while you're flying down the road. Okay, so they all seem to be good. And I did change the oil filter not too long ago, so it's got a fresh oil filter. You know, they say that you can change the oil in these every 3,000 miles, 4,000, if you're using, you know, the synthetic like you should be. But me, I change it every 1,000 to 2,000 miles. I've been told that that's excessive, but you know what? It's my motorcycle, and I'll care for it how I want to, right? Okay, so that's on there now. So we'll go ahead and put this back on. Got a real Phillips for this. Okay. Make sure that this seat lock cable is up underneath here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on. I'm going to go ahead and pull apart this here and check out what it looks like on the inside. Okay, give me just a moment and I'll pop this apart here. Okay guys, I'm back. Here's the filter material. Take a look at that. So it kind of tells you where this filter sucks through the air. Right up front, because this was closest to the outside. That's where this motorcycle sucks most of its stuff. So why have an air filter that big? I don't understand it. Maybe once this stuff clogs up, it sucks more through here. I don't know, but that is pretty dirty. I am so glad I replaced it. But anyway, I thought that would be kind of interesting to show you. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put our seat back on here. That lock back in. Okay, all right. I want to show you right down in here. I've got a couple lines, just vacuum lines. The one right here, the ones up in here. They're starting to have little cracks on them, and I'm just thinking that would be a good idea to replace them. I know this one down here has a bunch of little cracks around where it mounts, and I've had cracks go so deep that they were actually leaking. So the motorcycle runs all right. Sometimes it runs a little gutless, but it is a 250, so can't really complain too much about that. But anyway, just wanted to show you those there. And now I'm going to lube up the chain. Here's the chain lube I've been using, and I've lubed this up about 4 times, and this can is barely even used. And what I do is I don't have a lift where I can lift it up and spin the tire, so I'll spray and lube up the bottom part, and then I'll roll it forward until the top comes down the bottom. And I'll just make sure that I overlap everything. The chain's a little loose too, so a good tightening would probably help me out there. I always get a lot of gunk off my chain, so I'll go ahead and roll it forward. Much room in front of me, I went ahead and rolled it backwards, and right about here is where About here is where I lubed, so I'll go ahead and get this area here. And this is a penetrating oil, so it really gets into those links. I like it. It keeps it from squeaking. Like even if I run through water, it resists water, so it keeps my chain from rusting up. I need to give my bike a really good wash. Okay, I'm gonna roll it forward now and get the rest of it. Here's where chain is lubed. I might have to roll it forward a little bit more to get the rest. Probably remember in one of my videos I replaced this chain. Starting to get worn out after 6,000 miles, so. Okay, we'll roll it forward just a little bit more. Okay, this will be the last little bit. Right here are my links that I've already lubed up. Okay, this is overlapped. Okay, so the chain's good for another 500 miles. Some say to lube up your chain every 300 miles, but I do it about every 5. Alright guys, that's going to do it for my video of what is wrong with my GZ250. I hope you enjoyed watching what I did today. Look for some of my ride videos. That's going to be starting to appear on my channel really soon. I just took a ride up the old Highway 80 here in Arizona. There's a really nice bridge in there. I don't want to give too much away, so look for that coming up really soon. As always guys, thank you for watching my channel Cobra Vids. I really appreciate all of you guys coming and checking out what I'm doing, and I really enjoy the comments. Those really help me to modify my content and provide you guys what you really like. We have some more gun videos coming up. I'm going to do a few more teardown videos. We'll catch you on the next video.